All right, perfect. So Keilley, plant-based kitchenista, if you haven't met me before. So we do these about every 2 weeks. I think there's only one in December just because of the way that the month lays out. It was a little hard to get two classes in. So we'll do holidays, recipes and stuff in December, which is always a lot of fun. And this is kind of holidays also. So, and these two recipes that we're going to do are pretty easy to do. There's not a lot of steps and you can make a lot of things ahead of time, but it's really good. And it's kind of nice. I always think about that, you get recipes that have, 30, 40, 50 steps and lots of chopping and things like that. This one doesn't have as much, which is really, these two don't have as much, which is really nice. So it gives you one of those things that, recipes you can make for the holidays or with friends and family and highly impress them, but you're not spending a lot of time in the kitchen with it, which good thing, always a good thing. So like I said, we do these about every 2 weeks. We do them on Zoom, and then I am also on Chef AJ's show. So I just did the show and stuff I did the holiday burgers and we did a holiday salad. So we used like everything that you kind of make during the holidays. So like the Thanksgiving, when you've got mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes and all those kind of ingredients, we put them into burgers. And then we put like a cranberry chutney on top, which was really good. And then you bake them up and then they come up about this big and has a Brussels sprout slaw. And then it has a mushroom gravy on the bottom. So came out really good. We end up making a bunch of them, and I gave them to the neighbors because they were all interested about, after Thanksgiving burgers. So that was fun that we did. The next show is going to be on the 24th of December. So right before Christmas that I'll be doing that. And we'll actually have holiday recipes. So that'll be for Chef AJ. So if you're joining there, you'll get to see me again with Chef AJ. She's always a lot of fun. Love Chef AJ. So today, we're going to be making roasted cauliflower steaks with chutney. So cauliflower steaks are always fun, and they're, an easy thing to do that you can get ready. And I'll talk a little bit about what I did to get them ready since we only have an hour. And then we're going to do a Honeycrisp apple and kale salad. So it's actually a Honeycrisp apple, a pear, and then a kale salad. So it's got all these different ingredients in it, and it's really pretty. And the kale that Jerry bought, because Jerry always likes to go shopping for the classes, which I'm lucky with that. It's the kind of like purple kale. So like, it's really pretty. So we're going to make some of that up. But other than that, I'll let Jerry introduce himself and then we'll get started. But just know too, we are low. So no oil, plant-based, and we don't cook with salt. I do have pepper and stuff, but if all my recipes say salt as needed. So feel free to always add salt or leave it on the table. But Jerry is not a big fan of salt, so I don't cook with it, but I always have it on the table in case want some, just for some. So, but we'll talk a little bit too about what you guys did for Thanksgiving and what food you serve, because I think everybody's always interested about when you go plant-based, or some people say vegan, like what did you serve and what did you have, or if you went somewhere, what were you able to eat and all those kind of things. So we'll talk a little bit about what we made here for a neighbor of ours that's 81 and didn't have a place to go. So we actually brought her over here, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you guys did. So Jerry, come on over.
Hello, everyone. And I'm Jerry Casados. If you don't know it, for those first timers, plant-based nutritionist. I'm also an instructor for Dr. John McDougall's Start Solution program, which is an amazing program, which I teach. I have a private practice, and I'm just trying to help people transition to a plant-based diet. We need more of that, obviously, for health reasons. We've been plant-based for 16 years now. I did it for health reasons. Cholesterol, heart disease was developing, blood pressure, all that. But went and saw Dr. McDougall for 10 days in Santa Rosa 16 years ago, and he helped me get off meds, and everything's better. And that's kind of my story. But any questions about nutrition, I'd be glad to answer. Where do you get your fiber? Where do you get your protein? All those fun things. So I'm just here to, eat the food, basically.
And maybe do dishes.
Oh, maybe.
Definitely here to eat the food. That's his big claim to fame, as Chef AJ always says. She's like, she was actually on her show we just did on Sunday. She's like, what we should do is we should do a husband swap. So like Jerry could go there and Charles, her husband, could come here. And so they were talking about, because Charles would be like, oh, got different food, and Jerry would have different food, and Jerry gets to try all of her desserts because she's got a brand new dessert cookbook coming out, which is, I tried it up when we were in Rancho La Porta. I had to think about that. The place that she always goes in the different times, and it's August this year, or August in 2024. But tried a lot of her desserts, really good. Lots of sweet things and stuff, but really good. So, All right, so roasted cauliflower steaks with chutney. So we want to go ahead and get the cauliflower steaks in the oven. So what I did is last night I just took, just a head of cauliflower, washed it off, peeled all the greenery on the bottom, cut the stem off, and just, made it where it was just a nice kind of a ball of cauliflower. And then I chopped it. So I noticed on the recipe it says 6-inch thick cauliflower steaks. You don't want 6-inch. You want 6 1-inch cauliflower steaks. And if you have 2 large heads of cauliflower, that's about as many as you get. Sometimes cauliflower, sometimes you'll find that like when you cut out the stem and stuff, it really goes deep into the cauliflower. And then when you chop up the cauliflower, you end up with cauliflower pieces versus, beautiful, I'll show you one here, beautiful cauliflower steaks like this. So I ended up out of 1 large cauliflower, got pretty much 2 cauliflower steaks out of it, and then a lot of pieces of cauliflower, which doesn't break my heart because we will eat the cauliflower. And that's one of the things that we did for the Thanksgiving. We took a whole head of cauliflower, cleaned it all up in things, and put a mustard sauce over it, and then baked it in the oven. And it was baked like with onions and garlic and everything like that, and thyme and all those really fun spices that give you that really nice flavor. And then it was put over a bed of wild rice with mushrooms, roasted red peppers, had, I think, some walnuts in it and different flavors like that. And so then it came, so it came out when we're serving it, it's just this beautiful dish of cauliflower with everything else. Then of course we had, melting sweet potatoes and a big salad, and we had roasted asparagus, and we had pumpkin creme brulee for dessert. And I know there was probably a couple other things, like a couple other like vegetables and type of things that we ate. So our neighbor is not plant-based, but is learning to really like it. So has really gave up meat and things at 81, which is phenomenal. She's a great lady, comes from the Sedona area. And so she came over and she's like, this is so nice. I don't have to worry about, a turkey sitting there and just, and enjoying all the vegetables and all the desserts and things, and sent her home with a lot of different things. So lots of fun. So kind of type in if you want to, like type like what did you guys do for Thanksgiving? Like what did you serve? Like what was like some of your main dishes and maybe your desserts? I'd love to see that. And then if you went somewhere, did you take some things, or did you end up just kind of like eating the side dishes? And, as a lot of people say, Thanksgiving really is about the sides. I mean, a lot of people say it's the turkey, but how you have a lot more sides than you have turkey. So pretty easy to eat as long as there's not a lot of butter, sour cream, all that kind of stuff that they put in things. So, all right. So going back to the cauliflower, what I did then is after I chopped it into the cauliflower steaks and then had the cauliflower pieces because it fell apart, what I did is I just steamed it. So I just par steamed it really quick, because since we only have an hour and sometimes I talk too much, Jerry says, so, oh, well, sorry, trying to give all these tips and tricks. I was steamed it really quick. And then that way, when I put it in the oven and I get everything ready, it's actually going to cook up a lot faster. So you don't have to sit here for an hour and a half watching as the cauliflower is roasting. So I'm just going to add a little bit of vegetable broth. If you don't have broth or stock, then just use water. You could put salt and pepper on it. This would be the time that you'd want to do it. But since I don't use the salt, I'm just going to do just a little dash of pepper. And then voila, it's going in the oven. So 400 degree oven, and it's going to be 400 degrees for 15 minutes on one side, and then flip it over and 15 minutes. But that's all going to depend on your oven. So, depending on if you have a gas oven or electric oven, you may have to go, kind of extend the times a little bit or watch it and make it a little bit less. So lentil loaf. Okay, is Mona. Lentil loaf, mashed potatoes, gravy, cranberries, pumpkin pie, and Chef AJ's Tastes Like Snickers frozen pie. I have not tried that Tastes Like Snickers frozen pie, but I bet it's good. Really good. So I'd probably have to do like one piece and then give it away because I'd sit there probably with a spoon and eat it. So that sounds good. That sounds like a really nice dinner. Lentil loaf is good. Really good. All right. So I'm going to switch over to getting the dressing ready for the Honeycrisp apple and the kale salad, because I don't want it to be warm. And it's one of those ones that you're cooking up the shallot a little bit. So I want to make sure that I can give it a little time to kind of go more to room temperature. So we'll start it up. All right. So if we're doing the dressing, if you're following along, and then I need to get the pepitas in, but I'll do that here in just a second. We're going to saute the shallots. If you don't have a shallot, It's just it's a very mild onion. If you don't, then just feel free to like chop up a regular onion. So I would say don't use as much because the shallot is a lot milder. So if it says, you know, 1 shallot thinly sliced, that'll probably give you about 1/3 of a cup. So maybe like about half of the 1/3 of a cup would give you what you're looking for a regular onion, because it's going to be a lot more potent. So just grab those. So it's just a shallot. First Thanksgiving, I wasn't able to cook. My plumbing line burst 2 weeks prior. Oh, you can gut your kitchen. That's not fun. Sorry about that. That's not holidays. Eek. So shallots, same way. You just, you know, saute it up until it becomes translucent. I've noticed lately though, like the shallots, and this is Colorado, so it may not be, it may just be only Colorado. They're very like potent. They're like when you're chopping them up and things, they'll actually make you cry. And that's usually not what happens with shallots. But for some reason, I don't know if it's just the way they're transporting them or something, they tend to be kind of like a tear jerking a little bit. All right, so got there until translucent. So we're going to actually do that. We're just going to wait for just a minute and get that done. Or Lori, hopefully you had someplace fun to go and someplace where you could actually eat. Jerry and I were actually talking about, because the Thanksgiving with the family and stuff was on Friday, because the granddaughter was flying in. We actually talked about going out to dinner for something like, you know, baked potatoes and stuff. Every restaurant was booked out until like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So we're just like, nope, we're going to bring the neighbor over and have Thanksgiving. All right. Shallots. Yeah, Jerry I think I end up cooking Thanksgiving food about 5 times this month because of all the cooking classes. And, you know, by the time I hit the family Thanksgiving, I'm like kind of over it. Kind of over Thanksgiving and kind of over, you know, sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes and all those. Jerry was in hog heaven. He loved it. He's like, oh, when are we going to have another Thanksgiving? And I'm like, not for a while. So, all right. Gotcha. Cool. At least you got people that are taking care of you. That's a good thing. All right. So if I'm going to make the dressing, so remove the heat. So we've got the shallots here. We're going to add in the apple cider vinegar. So let me just kind of grab it over here. I've got all the different pieces and parts. So apple cider vinegar, and we've got 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. We've got 1 tablespoon of fig preserves. So fig preserves are what you can find just, you know, with the regular like jellies and things like that. Sometimes it's hard to find. Jerry couldn't find it, so I just made my own. So what I did is I just took figs that I had in the freezer, and then I just let them soak in water, and then I just blended them up like you're doing a date paste. So I've got my fig preserves all ready to go. Just put a little bit of a tablespoon in there. And then the rest of it, I'll just either freeze up or I will put it in the fridge and use it for other things. So a little stir in there. So you're getting a little bit of that tart, kind of the umami. You're getting that, you know, that tangy with the apple cider vinegar and a little bit of the sweet with the figs, which is really good. And then we've got the thyme, which is over here. So do you have the thyme? As Jerry always says, we're just adding that as a flavor. Don't overspice with thyme. Thyme is like oregano. You put it in and you use too much, it really like kills the recipe. So you just want a little bit. So what I would recommend, even though it says a tablespoon of fresh thyme, so fresh or dried, add just a little bit, like 1/8 of a teaspoon. Try it and see what you like. And then you can always add more. I'll just add a little bit of black pepper. This is where you would add salt. And then the other thing, you're gonna add just a little bit of vegetable broth, just to give it a little bit more, so it clings to the actual lettuce and the kale that you got. Because once you get in, you're gonna put this dressing in with the kale. We're gonna get in there with our hands and we get the gloves and stuff, and we're gonna really massage it in because you want to break down that kale so it's not so chewy. So if you don't like the chunky like this, you can actually just go ahead and put a little hand blender in there, or you could put it into the blender and then try it that way. And then you could blend it up and make it really smooth. And then you could make it the day before and then just have it in the refrigerator. Needs a little bit more fig. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of the fig in there. I'm gonna add some of the juice. I tend to I like my dressings, like I like the acid, but I also like having a little bit of the sweetness that kind of clings to it, which is really nice. So if you want to add a little bit more sweetness to it, but think about it, you've got an apple, you've got a pear, you've got all kinds of different things that are going to go in it. You don't want to do it too sweet. So like a maple syrup or something like that, because you're going to have so much other sweetness with all of your fruits. Have a ton of time in the garden. We'll gladly ship some. Ah, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. So that was actually that was 2 tablespoons of the fig preserves for us. So just to do that. So I'm just going to put it to the side. Looks very pretty once it goes into the salad and stuff. You're not going to see any of that, you'll see a little bit of the onions and things, but other than that, it's ready to go. All right. So now we're going to make the chutney because that's one of the things that we want to get going. And I've got a little saucepan. And this is the best part, I think, is the chutney. Lots of good things. Salad's good too, because like I said, it's pears, pomegranate seeds, apples, pepitas. So we can let's get the pepitas going. We'll actually get those going here in just a minute. But we'll get the chutney going. All right. So if we're following along, we're going to add a little bit of vegetable broth or water, doesn't matter. Then we're going to add to that, we're going to get the garlic and the ginger. So we've got, not the garlic, we're going to add the onion and the garlic first. We'll add ginger here in a second. So so the onion and stuff, we've got a cup of diced onion, 1 garlic clove. And organize the sink a little bit. Get a spoon. So a chutney usually has, you've got a little bit of savory and you've got a little bit of sweet is when you make a really, really good chutney. And you could make a chutney pretty much out of everything. So any fruit that you're looking at, you can do mango chutneys, you can do cranberry chutneys, you can do, apple chutneys, all those kind of things. So, someone asked me if that seemed like a lot of garlic. So you're talking about 1 garlic clove. By the time it's all chopped up and stuff, no, not at all. Because you're going to have, you've got the cranberries in there. You've got some apple juice or an apple cider, and you got the apples in there and stuff. So it may look like it seems like a lot of garlic and stuff, but it's going to give you that savory with the sweet. So kind of the savory cuts the sweet. So it's not overly sweet. So just saute it up until your onions get translucent. Check I can smell the cauliflower. So what else did you guys do for? Oh, no, not that, but you were holding up the chopped onions. Yeah, that would have been a lot of garlic. Yeah, that'd have been too much garlic. Yeah, that was the chopped onions. And then we got just the 1 clove of garlic. So what else did you guys eat or serve or cook for Thanksgiving? I'm always curious to see what everybody's doing. Let's do main dish. So whether it was a lentil loaf or a cauliflower bake. This is when when you're standing here, you get the onion garlic bath or facial. Okay, so just nice and sauteed. So ready to go. Okay, so we've got there. So now we've got the ginger. So my ginger, I just pulled out a little piece of it, but I keep my ginger frozen. So all I'm going to do is take the frozen piece of ginger with a kind of a microplane And I'm just going to grate it up. So we are going to do how much ginger? We said 1 tablespoon. So you'll notice that it has the skin and everything else on it. So I'm just taking it and grating it up. So if a piece like this comes off, you can just pull it off. But when you freeze it, you don't have to sit there and peel all the skin off. It just automatically gets grated up. So this is the great way to be able to have your ginger fresh at all times. Just keep it in the freezer.
Hi, everyone.
Mac and cheese, lentil shepherd's pie. I thought about that one. That was something I thought about too, of making. I thought that sounded really good. Like a shepherd's pie, and mac and cheese is another thing I thought about. All right, so let's put that there. Put that there. That'll put it back in the freezer. No waste here. Smells good. You got the ginger flavor and things like that. It smells really good. Okay, so then we're going to add in the apple. So we have a chopped up apple. Oops, I throw it all over the counter. And chutneys, like I said, are really fun to make because you can put them on anything. So once you get this chutney done and you're like, okay, I'm done with cauliflower steaks. Then you can turn around and you could put it on, you could use it as a salad dressing. You could add a couple other ingredients to make it as a salad dressing. You could put it on baked potatoes. You could put it on, other types of things that, that you're eating, vegetables. You can just eat it with a spoon. Granddaughter loves, cranberry sauce that one of the people making stuff at the place that we went, and just will eat it by a spoon. So just loves it that way. All right, so we got the apples in there. So now we're going to add the cranberries, but I'm going to hold off on those for a second, just because once cranberries get hot, they start popping and it's going to go all over the place. So could I use date syrup instead of maple syrup, or would it change? No, you could definitely use date paste instead of maple syrup. It will maybe change it just a little bit, but it's not gonna, you won't notice. So it's more of the sweetener. So even if you didn't want to use like date paste or maple syrup, and that's a really good question, you can use monk fruit sweetener. That's another way to do it too. So I'm going to add in apple cider vinegar. So we've got, what did I say, 1/4 cup. So I'm going to get all kind of the wet ingredients in there. Then I'm going to add the cranberries, because cranberries, like I said, they pop and then you'll get red stuff everywhere. So got that in there. And then we've got the apple juice. So apple juice or apple cider. So that we have, so I'm just kind of going through, we got a 1/2 cup of that. Okay. And then we've got a 1/2 cup of maple syrup. Like I said, this could be date paste, monk fruit sweetener, whatever you want, or you could just try it without any sweetener at all, and then try it and say, it doesn't really need any sweetener because of the apple and everything else that's in it, and then just completely leave it out. You could do it that way too. All right, so we got everything, apple juice, maple syrup, and then we've got all the different spices. So we've got mustard seed, we've got ground cloves, so that kind of gets you into that holiday spirit. You've got a cinnamon stick, which is really nice to have, and then we'll add the pecans here in a few minutes. Let's get those in there. Give it a little quick stir. I'm going to add the pecans at the end. So if I did this, just taste it without even adding the, it's really good. Really good without even the cranberries in it. Okay. Cranberries. So a 1.5 cups of cranberries. Like I said, I added those at the end. The reason why is because they will start popping. So that's why I'm going to find lid. Let me give it a quick stir. Like that. Let that boil. All right. So now, man, sticky. Turn it down to medium low because it just needs to simmer. And like I said, I'll add the pecans towards the end. So we got everything ready for that. Now for the salad. So the pepitas. So these are pumpkin seeds. So just regular pumpkin seeds that you can get at any of the stores. What we're going to do is we're going to put these in a little bowl. Let me grab a bowl. And if you don't want to do pepitas, I mean, it's pretty in the salad, but if you don't want to do pepitas, you could do, walnuts or almonds. That's, we always go to that best in show, peanuts, walnuts, all kinds of different nuts. Do you toast the pecans? You can toast the pecans if you want to. With this recipe, it doesn't ask for you to have to toast the pecans, so you don't need to. But if you want to do it ahead of time, you sure could do that. All right, so pepitas. And then we're going to add, so we're getting those ready. We've got a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So it gives a little bit of flavor to your pepitas, which is really nice. And then this one's, we also have a tablespoon of maple syrup. So if you don't want to use the maple syrup, same thing. You could use the date paste. You could use, date. I would say probably with the date paste, you might want to add just a little bit of water to it. And then, or you can just use monk fruit sweetener. Then you're just going to give it a little stir. Date syrup, you sure could. Date syrup's a really good thing to use. There's the Date Lady, which is the one that Chef AJ uses. You can get date syrups and everything. I mean, she's got just about everything made out of dates. And you can get it at Amazon, and you can also order or just get it at Walmart if you don't want to have to order it from her. But if you want like bulk, you get it from her site. Okay, grab a baking sheet, parchment paper. And after you've got them mixed up, you just put them onto the baking sheet. So since I have the oven at 400, because I'm doing that with the cauliflower steaks, I'm going to watch these really closely because it won't take long, because usually it's 350. And you've got about anywhere between 4 and 6 minutes, depending on your oven. But I don't want them to burn. So at 400, they easily could burn quick. So I'll just spread them out. This reminds me of like a pecan pie. And truthfully, what I like about pecan pie is the pecans that are covered, not, but I don't eat it anymore, but the pecans that are covered with the Kale syrup and everything else, and the butters and everything like that that's baked versus everything else that's in there. So that's kind of what it reminds me of. All right, so there they go. All set up. I'll get them in here for a few minutes. And then I'm going to grab the cauliflower steaks. You can see they're nicely turning colors. So we're getting a little bit of the kind of the caramelization on the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and flip them. And the nice thing too about par steaming them is that you know that they're going to be done. So that's something that you could do ahead of time, like the day before, just like I did, and then bake them out for friends and family right after that. Jerry will not be disappointed with all the little cauliflower pieces. He will eat them no matter what. There. All right. Back in the oven. Away we go. Oh my gosh. You can smell the pepitas with the cinnamon and the maple syrup going already. That smells good. I'll go ahead. I'll show what it looks like while it's just cooking. How pretty. I think I'll turn it up just a little bit. All right, so that's the purple kale that Jerry got. So it's got a lot of light, light green colors and dark green colors, and then it's got the purple kale in there. It tends to be, so I noticed and stuff with the purple kale, it tends to be a little tougher than your regular, like a quinta, and then your other kind of curly kale. So that's why we're going to want to get in there with our gloves and the dressing and stuff and really break it down. So this is 2 heads of the kale. So they were probably maybe about that big around and stuff. So 2 of them, but once we start breaking down and we start, massaging in the dressing and everything, it's really going to go to a lot less than this. Cause this maybe look like, if you're thinking I'm doing it for myself, this looks like a lot of kale, but it really is not after you start breaking it down. Good, starting to bubble. All right. So then sliced apples, Honey Crisp, any kind of apple that you want to make sure that they're firm. Pomegranate seeds. You can buy pomegranate seeds already done up, or you can just do your own stuff. I always recommend, if you're going to do pomegranate seeds, put them in a bowl like this, water, and then just start, taking the seeds out and things like that in the water, because then you don't get the splatters of pomegranate seed juice all over the place. And then we've got 2 pears, 2 little small pears. So if you do it the night before, one of the things that you can do, like if you're cutting up your apples, just drizzle some lemon juice. If you've got some lemon juice and stuff, drizzle them on. I just put some plastic wrap about them, and then I just put them in the fridge. And so they were ready to go today, and I didn't have to cut them up right away, which was really nice. Not popping yet, but they're getting close. Seeds. Another minute or so. You will see that a lot of times pepitas, if you've got them like in a pan or something and you're roasting them up, you'll see a lot of times and stuff, they'll start popping. So I was waiting to hear if I could hear some popping, but so far not popping. Give it a quick stir. Let's get your cranberries down in there. Put that over here so I don't stain the countertops with cranberry sauce. All right, so we've got the kale that's here. So we got the dressing. So what we're going to do is we're going to massage in the dressing. The pomegranate seeds, I'll add some of those into there, but it's also about prettiness. So you can take, if you've got your slices of apple, if you don't want to have them all sliced, then feel free to chop them up and do like a large dice. Same thing with your pears. So I'm going to do a little bit of chopping with my pears because I have a lot of pears. So I'm just going to add little slices of them. Be as creative and as pretty and whatever that you like, because it's all about you. I'm giving you your base recipes, and then you're the one that gets to make them the masterpieces. Yes, so they were actually, so the leaves, the kale leaves, it wasn't leaves and stuff, they were in a head. So what I did is I just took a piece of kale, and I'll actually show you one. Let me grab one. So it was just like this. So what I did is I just grab, so if I've got a small piece, you've got this large stem, which you don't want to use. You could dehydrate this if you have a dehydrator and make kale powder, which is always a good thing. But what you do is you just take it and then you just strip it down. And so you end up having, these nice pieces of kale. And then I just did a chop up. That's all I did. Chop them all up and kind of almost like a shred a little bit. Jerry's like, that's my kale. He's making smoothies with it, but it's like, you've got a whole bowl of kale here. So I'm just doing a few chop ups here. Just to use my pears. That way I don't have so many just big pieces. I have some small pieces in there all mixed in with the kale anyway, so it makes it kind of good. Just do a few more. And one thing I noticed too, that when the pears and stuff, they weren't real soft, but once I let them set out and I put a little bit of lime juice on them, then they became really soft. So now they're really soft and they taste sweet like pears, which is really nice. Okay, let me grab, like, what did I do with there it is, my spoon. Show you what it looks like real quick. Starting to break down with all the cranberries and the apples, because that's what you want. And if you don't like chunks, I'm gonna go down to medium. If you don't like chunks, feel free to, use like a hand blender in there and just mix it where it's really smooth. But this is, I'm gonna leave it chunky because I like the chunks of the apples and the cranberries, even though I'm gonna make sure that the cranberries are broken down a little bit. All right, so there's just adding some of the pears in there. So just kind of mixing them up. Just adding that in there. No preference for a type of pear. I would say you get in the store whatever's the softest. Jerry brought home one that was kind of more green, and then one that was a little bit more kind of had a little bit of mauve color to it. The mauve one tend to be a little bit sweeter, and it was more ripe. It's just sometimes depending on the time of year, it's just hard to find a pear and stuff that's ripe. So just kind of feel on them and just figure out if it's a Bartlett or it doesn't really matter. It's whatever one's ripe. That's what I would say. So there we go. Just, holiday pomegranate seeds. They're always fun to eat. So let me grab some gloves. Oops. You guys didn't remind me. I'm gonna let them cool. So the maple syrup that's on them and stuff will cool off here in just a second, but those are ready to go. So taste wise, I'll taste them here in a minute, because if I taste one now, it'll be like a sizzle on my tongue, which that's not a good thing. Put them over here. And then the other thing you could do too is if you can't find pears that they don't seem really ripe, you could always buy, Trader Joe's has them in a jar. And you could get like half pears and stuff in the jar, and they're really soft and they're really nice. So that's another thing you could do. Okay, so just mix everything up. Gonna add in the dressing. I'll add in about partial of it. And then get in there and then just really like get your hands around it and then just like mix it up and massage it into your kale, because anything that has so kale breaks down with avocado. So like avocado and or you could do citrus is another really good thing. So eat those two things, and we've got citrus kind of like with the apple cider vinegar and things like that will break down kale really nice. And so then it's almost like eating lettuce versus something that's really chewy. I know some people prefer really chewy. I like it somewhere in between. So I just kind of get in there and just massage it. And then what you do, and you can see already halfway down from the amount of kale. And then to test it out, and I'm putting kale everywhere, but to test it out to see if you've got enough dressing, you just grab like some of the lettuce leaves, the kale leaves, and taste it. Use all the dressing. To this salad, even though you have all the different fruits and things, you could also add like fresh avocado. There's so many other things that you could add to it. If you've got the little baby oranges, you could do that too. And the nice thing about when you massage in dressing, you usually end up using less dressing, but this is kale, so it usually soaks up everything. Or and it also, so using less dressing, but then it also does it like when you're at the bottom of your salad bowl, it doesn't pool at the bottom, so you don't have all that dressing sitting at the bottom. Somebody wants out. We have a little kid over here that's sitting at the back door. Check the cauliflower. It's doing great. All right. Here's the pepita seeds. Still a little warm. Forget the salad, just eat the pepita seeds. Those are good. It's like cinnamon. So like you get a little bit of that cinnamon on there, and then you've got the sweetness. Those are good. Okay. I'm gonna break down the cranberries. You're pretty much doing the chutney until a lot of your liquid goes, it kind of disappears, and then your cranberries pop. And if they don't pop, just grab, just push them to the side of your saucepan and then just, you know, put the spoon against it and that'll pop them, because every once in a while you'll get a couple that won't pop. And then you want your apples soft. Popping those. And the more that you pop the cranberries, the brighter the color becomes. So you can see it's already starting to add all that nice cranberry color. Put that on low. Couple more. Okay. Cranberry or the cinnamon stick. Pull that off to the side. All right, taste. It's like a warm holiday. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the cranberry sauce. It reminds me of like apple pie and all those kind of things mixed together. It's really good. And pretty. All right, so salad. Pretty bowl. And if you don't like kale, if you're to have a preference for no kale, you could also do this salad with, you know, any type of lettuces. You could also do it like with spinach would be a really good, this would be really good with spinach. Until I was massaging kale all over the place. It's everywhere. Unplug this. So you don't have to listen to it over me. All right, so decoration wise, you've got pepitas, you've got the pomegranate seeds. So add those in. This is a really pretty salad. It's one of those ones that if you take places, I guarantee you people will eat. You will not be taking it home. All right, apple wise, just kind of grab them. Just put it over here. We're gonna fan it out like you would do like avocado. Just for pretty. A fan. You don't have to do it. You can just throw it in there and eat it. You can do that way too. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Use the apples since I've cut them up. This is the other thing if you have extra. Wait to make this. Yeah, good. I'm glad. Love it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm only counting 6 just because I did. So I'm just evening them out. Don't have to be anal retentive like me. Oh, that's great. 1, 2, 3. Just getting pieces that match. And spread them out. And then if you got leftover, add it into the salad, chop it up. Or enjoy it with something, nut butters, something like that the next day. All right, let's grab some of your pears. I'll show you here just a second. It's a big piece. I'll go smaller piece so you can see. A few more pomegranate seeds. Can't forget the best. Pepitas. It's funny how they're with just a little bit of that maple syrup and stuff. It's almost like peanut brittle, but pepita brittle. This would be very addictive. So wouldn't recommend unless you're doing the salad to do this a lot, because this is like those nuts that you can get in the stores where they're you get the salt, the sweet, and everything else in them. Easy to eat a lot of them. All right. Then I'll get the cauliflower out. And so I can show you. Oh, let me add in the pecans. Don't have to add nuts if you don't want to. Just a nice ingredient to be able to put in there. Gives you a little bit of that crunch. So there's the chutney, all nice and thick and ready to go. There is the Honeycrisp apple, pear, and kale salad with, of course, pepitas and pomegranate seeds and everything else. That's ready. And then let me get cauliflower. I'll do it over here. You can see I have a gas oven because it will do that to my parchment paper, but it doesn't hurt it at all. So let's do this one. Actually, I think I'll do them both together. So pretty cauliflower steaks, just put 2 of them together like that. Easily. I mean, if you're plant-based, easily, could you eat this? Yes. All right, I'm gonna grab a different spoon. Spoons are good. Those good spoons are good for stirring and things, but not necessarily good for placing food. I said, so, if you look at this and you're serving, 4 to 6, you still have quite a bit of chutney left over. So always, like I said, good for potatoes, good on all kinds of different things. Salad, if you put put a little bit more moisture in this, maybe a little bit of water or something like that, you could actually make it into a salad dressing and then mix it into kale and it would be good. So since I have pomegranate seeds left over, oops, I'm flipping it all over the place. Right. I actually have them dried out here. I have a little bit of leftover kale. Because nothing's prettier when you're taking a photo when you got reds and greens. All right. Guess what's on for dinner? So there is, as I show, I've got kale on my fingernails and everything else. There is your roasted cauliflower steaks with it's got an apple cranberry pecan chutney. So like I said, a little bit of savory, but not much and stuff, and a little bit of sweet. But the savory that the onions and the garlic and things that you put into your chutneys actually make it where it's less sweet. So really good with everything. You could use this chutney for pretty much anything. Like I said, you can use it with all kinds of vegetables. Just eat it as a side. You know, if you've got dip it in some, like when it cool it off, put some apples in it. So like, you know, like people do apples with nut butters and stuff. You could use the chutney instead. You could actually do it on some crackers. You could do some toasted bread points. I mean, there's so much you could do with chutney. What I would recommend is put it into like a mason jar with a plastic lid and keep it for about a week or two. So that's for that. And it just made it pretty with all the pomegranate seeds. And then, put this way. Balancing act. There is the Honeycrisp apple, pear and pomegranate seeds, and of the delicious pepitas that are toasted up, kale salad with a really nice kind of thick preserved dressing. So you can tell kind of two fruit dishes but very hearty. And this is what we're going to be eating for dinner tonight. Jerry will probably all end up getting the pieces of the cauliflower because he's going to look at this plate and take this plate, I can guarantee you. So he gets to be the lucky one to eat this pretty plate. So hope you guys enjoyed. But two beautiful dishes, a lot of things that are similarities because you got the pomegranate seeds you can use on both to make things pretty. But I guarantee if you put something like this, you know, if you've got all these cauliflower steaks and the salad and you just put it, you know, a huge bowl on a table for, you know, a holiday or just a regular night, because it's not a lot of things that you have to do with this, you will have a crowd pleaser. They're both very, very good. All right. Good. Looks great. I'm making it this weekend. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for the nice compliments. I love it, guys. So yeah, pleasure trap food. That's yeah, very much so. And like I said, don't make a lot of these because these are good. I could eat it just as brittle. So I will stay away from those because that would be, I could just sit down and eat the whole thing. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you probably in about, I think it's about 2 weeks for the holidays, and then we'll start getting everything out there for January. But love you guys. Happy holidays. We'll see you here soon. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. As
I had
always.
no idea because I'm old, 66,
You're not old.
and my niece is totally vegan and doesn't eat meat or anything. And like that's why I joined, because I thought this is something that I could actually fix for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. If you want some other recipes that are pretty easy to fix, we just introduced our neighbors to spaghetti squash lasagna, and it's a
Oh.
crowd pleaser and it's easy to do. So just email me at Keilley, Kelley at plantbasedkitchen.com.
Is that on your website?
Yes. If you just
Okay.
email me, then I'll send you some
Okay.
other recipes of things that you can do that are easy to make.
Oh, that would be great because she's getting really sick and tired of my boring plain lettuce salad.
Yes. This is the kind of stuff that she'll love. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.